Hey everybody, Kim here with Little Biz Resources, and we're going to design a couple of different things in Photoshop today, specifically a direct to garment, or where they print directly to a garment. It's in a specific finite space, or you can also do a repeating pattern, and we're going to show you how to do both of those. Now there's variations of all of these, but those are the two general ones that we're going to be working with. So the first thing is, I'm doing a quick reference, but you can always go to the Printful site. So this is we're going to start with Printful. This applies to, Cafe Press and Zazzle and Spoonflower as well. Well, Spoonflower will be the repeating one. And I've done this, I'm going to do this. This is not complete yet, but it'll have a quick reference so that you can see the sizes. And one thing I want you to notice is that you can tell by multiple files can use the same size. So if you're looking, like, these are all different t-shirts. Some of them will be able to go on others, some of them won't. So it's going to be, we're still putting together kind of like a compilation where you might be able to use the same file over and over and over again. So you don't have to have a billion files on your drive, but we have to kind of narrow it down and figure that out first. So hopefully we'll have that ready for the automation next week. If not, you'll at least have a basis of how this goes. All right, so we had 12-inch by 16-inch. So if you have Adobe or GIMP, you can do this, you can go into inches no matter where you are. Well, you should be able to. So check that, change it to inches, and then we're going to do 12 by 16, and then the resolution we're going to do at 150. It needs to be anywhere from 150 to 300. So you could start off at 300 if you want to, but what that does is that means that we can't use the design later. And so I'm just trying to stick with 150 because the file size is smaller and everything else. It's just a little bit easier to work with. But you can go all the way up to 300 if you have preferences. And you may have to do that depending on what you're using. So I'm going to go ahead and create this. I'm going to leave an RGB color. When we export, we'll be changing it to the sRGB per the Printful requirements. And now we've got this blank canvas, and we want to leave it like this. We don't want to fill it in with any color unless that serves a purpose for the design. So keeping this in mind, let's go ahead and pull up Printful so you can kind of see a little bit of where this would go. Oh, that's the wrong part of Printful. Okay, so we're on Printful, and we'll just go into one of these first t-shirts for the men's t-shirts. And when you scroll over these, some of them, you can see where it'll, like, see, it's not doing it on these, but some of them will show you a print design like that one does on the all over. And so all over means you get to design all over it, whereas one of these other ones you don't. And if you're going on Printful and you don't want to go to our shortcut version, you can just come down here to the file guidelines and it'll show you all the different sizes. Now, outside labels, inside labels, as you go through, whatever the labels are, that's your branding, right? That's one of the benefits of doing something through Printful, is that it's your brand. So your labels should represent your brand. But keep in mind that a lot of these are going to be on the outside. So if it's something super bright or conflicts with the rest of your design, then it's might be a deterrent for people to purchase. Then in this case, there's a sleeve print, a pocket, and a back print. So here you can see they only have the pocket one right here. And this is the only thing they show. I don't even think they show, well, they have it looks like a video here in general, but that's all they show is that pocket design. So you should have a sleeve and a back capability. And when you upload a file, so if you wanted to start here and start designing, you could test it to see what it would look like and where it would go. So in this case, we would start designing, and it looks like we have the option of, they're going to put a pocket one on here, and pocket back, that's the back design. And then outside label, which is right here. So they're showing you where it is right here. And then the inside label, which, that's funny because it doesn't say we need an inside label, but it would be the same size. Left sleeve would be right here. And of course, it would be those dimensions. And as you load the file, you'd be able to see kind of what it looks like, right? And then the nice thing about that then is that you can say, oh yes, it works, it doesn't work. Well, for our purposes for automation, we're going to try to find as many designs as we can create automatically as possible. We might skip those sleeves and pockets, maybe, just depends, and things like that, because it'll make it go a little bit faster for us. But if you want to design an individual shirt and say, I want to do all the elements, that's a little bit different. But you still design it, right? So let's go ahead and do a design. I'm going to just do what we did before. I'm going to do a pattern overlay where I'm going to do number 9, where we take this, I'm going to turn it into an object and ignore, there's something wrong with my loading when I'm recording. So I'm going to first convert this to an object. Smart object, where did it go? Convert to shape, that's what I'm gonna do, convert to shape. And then, okay, it should be a shape now. Let's go ahead and undo that. No, it probably isn't. Convert to shape. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and make this as big as I can here. So when I was in the font, it only lets me go a certain size, but when I get into a shape, there's my shape, okay? So now I'm like, you know what? I don't want it to be red. So you can change the color like we did with the color overlay, or you can do even a pattern overlay. And so in this case, I'm gonna do a pattern. I'm just gonna keep this one that is selected. Once you've set a pattern, which we'll talk about when we do repeating patterns, but you can set a pattern here and to do an overlay. Like this is what my daughter did, and it would be like hearts all over it. So maybe I'll do that one since that's her design. But I've already set that pattern, so now I can fill it in, right? So now that's my pattern, that's my design. I don't want to fill in the background because if I did, it would look like a giant square on the shirt. Some people like the design, most people don't. They just want this 9 on there. So now I'm ready to go. So I'm going to say export as, and then here I'm going to have it as a PNG. Make sure that it keeps the transparency. It has the width and the height set in pixels, so don't mess with that. And then I'm going to say, you could do copyright data and everything else, but we're not going to worry about that because we're going to load it up into stuff. You want to make sure that this is checked convert to sRGB because that's what Printful wants. Then we're going to export it and we're going to save it. Number 9, Cassandra, spell her name right, design. Okay, so now we've saved that, and that's that one. So that is how you do, you can put words in here, you can do whatever you want. If you're using something like WordSwag, you would just export it as a PNG with a transparent background, and then import it and put it on here. Okay, and so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do a new one. And since I do have an all over, I've gotten, 12 by 6s are here. So now I'm gonna go to one of the all over ones, and this is, we've got a front and back panel and then sleeves, and let's see, this one all over print men's tank top only has one file in it, 27 by 34. So we're going to do a 27, go to inches, do 27 by 34, and I'm going to do 150, say okay, keep it RGB. So this is the file that I need to work with that's going to be a repeat file. Okay, so now I'm actually going to show you. So once we've set up our design, which I'll show you how to do in just a minute, what we would do to fill in this particular file is we would do fill. So we can do edit, fill, and then we can pick the pattern, right? So this is the same pattern right here. And we're going to say okay, and that's filled. Oh, something just happened. There we go. So we filled this in, and that's the pattern. So I'm going to say file, I'm going to say export as. Now, by the way, our automation that we do, we're going to use Power Automate Desktop. It'll automate all of this. And you'll see my computer goes really slow doing a lot of this. So I'm going to export, because everything's all set up. I'm going to export this as Cassandra. Wait, what is the file I did? All over print men's tank top. Cassandra design. I want to do that because I'm going to have lots of different versions of this later on, right? And I'll show you that in the automation, how we do that. So let me show you quick. I'm not going to do this design, but I'll do another design. So we're going to do a new design, and we're going to put it at inches. And this one we're going to design initially in 300 pixels per inch. Now what happens is if you change the pixels later, and let's say it's 10 by 10 by 300 pixels, and then I'm going to change it to 150 later, it'll make it like 20 by 20. We make it much bigger, it'll make a different size, right? So instead, what we're going to leave it as this, and that's because I can always size it down, and it just makes it easier. So I'm going to do this quickly, and hopefully quickly. I'm going to do image or file, place embedded. And I'm going to go back to the design that I had. Okay, I had to find it. So I'm going to come back in here, and you can see I saved those two, but these are ones that I made before. Now this image came from Pixabay. I removed all of the background behind it, so that way it's just this. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to maybe turn it a little bit, and I'm going to put it here, and then I'm just going to place it there. Then I'm going to do another one. Now these are all, now you could do like all different colors on these. These are 5 different shades and various stars in it, which you can't see, but it's just something that I was easy to do. and you're like, Kim, wait, this isn't going to show up very well. Remember, we're doing a repeating pattern. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to decide for right now. I'm going to make some of these different sizes and place embedded. We're going to do this for maybe 4 different colors, possibly. I don't know, maybe 5. We'll see. Make it like that. And you kind of just have to play with this as you go, okay? And I don't necessarily, and these right now are all each on individual layers, so I can't just click on this one. I'd have to, first of all, I need to place the one I have, and then I'd have to kind of skip over to where it was, and then I could do it. It's trying to make me fill it, and that's not what I wanted to do. So I could do that. I could resize it. You know, so I'm going to go back. I'm actually going to move this one here because it's and I'm going to change the direction of it, I think. So you're going to have to play with this. I'm going to change it to be maybe just kind of off-center just slightly. And then there. Now, you don't have to do all skulls like I am, right? You could put in 5 different things, and sometimes that works a little bit better. I'm just kind of doing it this way because I have them ready to go. So we'll go with, I don't remember which one we did. We'll just do this one. That looks very similar to the other one. So let's do a different one. Still looks similar. And like I said, you kind of have to play with them. Now, if you just leave it in a square like this, it's going to look a little weird. So what we have to do is we set up the first one, and then we set up the second. We change it afterwards. So I keep wanting to go to the next step, don't I? Place embedded, and let's take this middle one, which is a little bit different color. And we'll do it to be... I don't know. I'll tell you, I sell, or I do work with fabric designs a lot, and it bothers me when they're upside down because then you can't have them all running one way. So these are kind of close. I'm not too worried about it right now. This is the first level. So for this first level, I'm going to merge them all together. And I'm going to say right click, and I'm going to say... merge layers. Okay. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to filter, then other, then offset. And I want to make that, since we did 3000 by 3000 pixels. Well, it's 10 inch by 10, just 3000 by 3000. It's 1500 by 1500. I say okay, and see how that kind of makes a repeat as it is. Now, and you can see here it's filling in some space. You're like, oh wait, what about this white space? This is where you can adjust. And so you can take the lasso feature, it's lasso tool, right? And you can wrap it around here. And then you want to transform it. So edit, I just do free transform, so I can move it around. I can adjust it as I want to. So maybe I kind of want that a little bit more up and down this time. We'll put it there. And then deselect that. And then we're going to go ahead and move this one as well. Free transform. And I kind of, this is a dark and a dark, so I want to lighten there, and maybe I'll put another dark in the middle, right? So now I'm going to deselect that because it bugs me, and then I'm going to place embedded, and I'm going to pull another dark one out. And I don't like it up and down because it looks weird when it prints, so I at least want it a little bit turned. And you know what? And I may not end up liking this later on, but this is what happens when you want to do a repeat, right? So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to merge those together just so that they're together. And then merge layers. And then this is a good repeat, right? I mean, I don't know if it's going to be the right size I want or not, but I'm going to go ahead and say, edit. I'm going to test this real quick. So I'm going to say, edit, define pattern. So now you see where I'm defining pattern. I'm going to say test skulls. And then now I'm going to do, we're going to come over here and we're going to see this all over. We did this once before, right? So now I'm going to come in here. I'm going to test this. I'm going to do, this is a crew neck t-shirt. Well, let's do the tank top again. It's 27 by 34, right? So I'm going to say file, new, way past new on that one. And it's going to be inches. And we said 27 by 34, 150. Now this is where it goes 150. Now these, like I said, this might end up being the wrong size. So this is how I test it. So I'm going to say edit, fill, gotta hit the right one. And I can change, my pattern is now in here, right? So there it is right there. And that's what it would look like. Now I want to actually have a background color as well in it. I just wanted to make sure that my skulls look good. So, and I say this because they've been making some changes on Printful, so you may not need to have a background, but you'll have to look at the products to decide that. So I would just prefer to print the background color rather than choose a background color. And I'm probably going to go with I would probably go with like a black or something on this. And if I wanted to see, I can just add another layer and it would be, put it as the background, and I could then fill it. Well, actually we're here. So we're going to say edit, fill, and I'm going to change it to the foreground color. I think that's black. Yeah. So that's what it would be, black with that on that. And that would turn into a tank top. So I like that color with the black with this, and I think it works well. So that's what I would do. I would come back to my original design. Oops, not that one. Not that one. This one, and I put the black in the background because this is the repeating file, right? This is not, and I can do it this way, right? I could do it this way and have multiple different colors in the background and come up with different style, different 5 or 6 or 10 different ones that I wanted to do. But if I want it to be repeating for this, and the reason I say that is because you're going to get one of you guys is going to go out there and purchase a repeating file and go, wait, it's not working when I put it in here. You have to put it in the same size. And then, the repeating file and your repeating file need to be the same size if you want it to make one full repeating file, right? So there's a couple different ways that you can do it, but that's the way I recommend, is that you get the repeating file, and it's usually square, so 10 inch by 10 inch, and then you would set it the same size, put it in here, and now it's a full repeating file. Okay, and we'll talk more about that. If you guys run into problems, you can ask questions. So that's pretty much it for Photoshop. We've designed the main file. This one is going to be what they call a direct to garment, where it just goes on. We've also designed a repeating file now, so we have a repeating design. We know we can set it as a pattern, and we can fill it in. That's the key to automation, right? So the idea is that your computer is going to do the work for you. It's going to say file, open. It's going to open the file size, and then you will have this set in advance, the pattern set in advance, to then fill it in, and then it'll save it for you and all of that all at once. And you'll learn more about that in the automation section. But that's the idea behind this, is that we're going to go ahead and design all of these files, pretty much overnight once we get the patterns done. So the goal for this until we get to the automation next week, is to make sure that you are designing, right? Think of some designs. We talked about last time, the last video, which was probably still today, was on, hey, what you need to do to get, here's how you find some different images to do your design. The one before that was finding inspiration, right? So we've got inspiration covered. We now know where to find the stuff, and now we know how to design it in Photoshop. We're going to do the next video in GIMP for those who don't have Photoshop. So if you are like, hey, I don't have Photoshop, I don't want to buy Photoshop, we'll do what we can in GIMP next. So the next steps are to sign up for Printful if you haven't done that and you want to have your own brand. If you want to have your own brand and sell on Etsy, because you can have your own unique designs like this, then you would want to start your Etsy shop, get your 40 free listings through the link in the description. By the way, Etsy has been suspending accounts. So if that happens to you, don't worry, you can reach out or just go through the process of appealing that, which they have a ticket system now and everything is kind of different. So there's that. And then of course there's links to other resources in the description. Go through those. Make sure if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And if you like this video, please like it. This is not our normal content. This is part of our print on demand series. So make sure you've gone through all of the print on demand course or series or videos, so that way you make sure you don't miss out on anything, or you ask questions. And to ask questions, you can put them on this video. You can join the Facebook group, link will be in the description, or you can come live on Thursdays and just ask live on our Thursday Q&A. And all of those details are in the description. And thanks for watching.